You've got 5 vendors pitching AI tools that all claim to solve the same problem. They've got polished decks, promising stats, and maybe even a couple of pilots under their belt. But how do you decide who makes your shortlist? Before you run a pilot or enter a procurement conversation, you need more than just a gut feeling. You need a framework that helps you compare products side by side and confidently say, these are the tools worth our time, data, and clinical risk. And that's what this video is about. Hi, I'm Harris, a medical physicist in the UK National Health Service and CEO of Newton's Tree. In this episode, we're walking through how to assess the quality of external AI products so you can make informed decisions about which vendors to shortlist for pilots or head-to-head comparisons. Whether you're buying or just exploring, this is the analysis every health system needs to do to cut through the hype and choose wisely. In this video, we're going to cover why shortlisting without deep assessment can derail a program, a structured process to evaluate vendors before piloting, and then covering the critical domains to assess product quality, performance, and fit. So let's dive in. Too often, AI pilots start with the vendors that sound good but haven't been vetted. That leads to potential wasted time, clinician frustration, or even clinical risk. By doing a structured assessment before shortlisting, you can avoid investing in undercooked tools, focus your pilot resources on the most promising solutions. You can also then compare products like for like using a common framework, ultimately reducing the risk of a biased selection. This isn't about being cynical. It's about protecting patients and clinicians from tools that aren't ready for your real-world context. To compare AI vendors fairly, you're going to need the right people at the table. So assemble a multidisciplinary team with the right expertise. You're going to need folks in clinical operations so that they can evaluate usability and workflow fit. You'll also need data science and statistics expertise to analyze model validation, generalizability, and other metrics. We're also going to need digital infrastructure and IT folks to check for interoperability challenges and deployment feasibility. We're going to need input from legal and information governance teams to identify any regulatory or security concerns. And finally, procurement and finance to evaluate value for money and investment risk. This group forms your shortlisting jury. Their job is to run a structured assessment across all incoming tools and make evidence-based recommendations on who you're going to take forward. Now to the practical bit. Before piloting, vendors should be evaluated across several domains. This allows you to compare them consistently, not just on their sales pitch, but on their substance. Let's walk through each domain. Good AI starts with good data, but not just any data. The question isn't, did the vendor train a model? It's, was it trained on the data that looks like your population, or your workflows and your setting? For example, were the datasets collected in outpatient clinics like yours? Do they reflect the same comorbidities, patient demographics, and conditions? Was the model tested on independent data and not just internal validation? If not, then performance during the pilot may not translate to your wider rollout. Next, we're going to assess how far along the product actually is. Has it been published in academic studies? Has it been used in live clinical settings? And how has it been supported over time? There's certain things you want to look out for. Any evidence of prior deployments, especially in similar health systems, results of performance audits or validation studies. Also, the vendor's ability to try before you buy pilot on your infrastructure. If a product is still in demo mode or lacks update cycles, it may not be ready for head-to-head comparisons with more mature tools. And that's where IT due diligence comes in. A product may look great on the surface, but if it doesn't work with your electronic health record, if it doesn't support healthcare data standards or requires IT infrastructure that you just don't have, it's a non-starter. There's going to be a few things you need to assess. The first being data formats, APIs or HL7 FHIR support. The second is going to be integration with your existing systems, such as your EHR, your RIS, and your LIS. Any hardware requirements, security architecture, and privacy compliance needs. These can immediately rule out options that aren't technically feasible for a pilot. Ask vendors for more than just performance statistics on retrospective datasets. You're going to want to know, how stable is performance across subpopulations? How does the system handle ambiguous or missing data? What guardrails are in place for failure modes or uncertainty? And importantly, how transparent are they about their metrics? Vendors that dodge performance transparency now will likely dodge accountability later. Not all AI tools are equitable, even if they're accurate. You're going to want to ask, has the vendor performed a bias audit or equity impact assessment? Can they show how the model behaves across race, gender, age, or geography? Are they transparent about limitations, and are they working to mitigate them? If they haven't done this work, they're perhaps not ready for a pilot in a system that serves diverse populations. Finally, make sure the vendor knows the regulatory road ahead. Do they already have UKCA, MHRA, or FDA classification? Do they have an appropriate quality management system in place? Is their data handling compliant with GDPR or HIPAA? Shortlisting a vendor that can't meet basic compliance standards is a risk to both patients and the hospital. Once you've run each vendor through the framework, you'll have a clearer picture of which tools are genuinely pilot-ready and which still need work. Use your cross-functional team to score and compare these tools consistently. Make sure you document strengths, gaps, and open questions. And then you can shortlist 2 to 3 vendors for a structured pilot evaluation, and then provide clear feedback to those not selected. This isn't just due diligence, it's also about fairness. It ensures all vendors are evaluated on a level playing field and protects your organization from any biased or ad hoc decisions. So let's recap. Before you pilot or procure, you need to first build a cross-functional team to lead these evaluations. You need to have a structured, evidence-based framework across domains, and then shortlist vendors who are truly ready, technically, clinically, and ethically. At Newton's Tree, we support hospitals and systems in making these high-stakes decisions responsibly. If this framework helped, give us a like, subscribe, and drop a comment. We'd love to hear how your team is approaching AI shortlisting. And stay tuned. In a future episode, we're going to be looking at how to structure pilots to generate real-world evidence that matters. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.